Okay, all in. Okay, let's start again. All right, welcome everyone. This is the pilot episode of MHP Game Club. We're a bunch of 30-somethings looking for a little bit smarter entertainment out there in the video game world. Something. And I'm joined by 5 other special guests here. First one is our streamer and producer, that'd be Mr. JE. You can catch him on twitch.tv/MrJ Triple E.
Triple E, that's right. Welcome.
Yeah.
Production value increasing as we go along.
That's right. I'm also joined by, on our East Coast, our friend Brandon, as Brandon.
Hey.
And we also got Banguda, better known as Boyer.
Hello.
Got Bango's birthday / Banganoscopy /
Not a backstabber.
Not a backstabber,
Not a backstabber.
Brian.
What?
And finally, we are joined by Bango Bojangles. Who knows? Depends on what game he's playing. Better known as Eric.
What's up, guys?
So this episode, we'll be diving into what was one of the greatest internet phenomenons going into 2015 and 2016. The game that was deemed so important and so relevant to the world that one of the famous YouTubers gave it to the Pope as a gift. You might know it as Undertale. The indie darling that is Undertale, created by Toby Fox. Now, I just want to go around the panel here. How many people had heard of Undertale anything about it going into this month's game club?
I don't think I had actually heard about it. I mean, I think I might have seen it on like Steam sales randomly, but it's not something I even going in actually playing it when we decided it was going to be our game. I didn't know what to expect, so it was like on Humble Bundle, and yeah, I hadn't heard about it. So
I definitely had heard of it.
Yeah.
It was all over all the video game news and whatever community sites, it seemed, for months.
I had a high school student who really wanted me to play it before we had flagged it for Game Club selection.
That's good.
Brushed it off because I thought his taste was pretty poor. I heard the rumblings about it.
if he's watching this VOD, he apologizes. Anybody else? Eric? Brian?
Back then, I wasn't looking at indie games, but I don't know. I guess it's interesting to hear that it made such a impact in the community, but missed my radar.
Well, yeah, it was a big deal, and the fandom still is very strong going into 2017. There's a whole subreddit for it, fan art still out there, and a lot of even theorizing about what the narrative and what the story that Toby was trying to tell is still being unraveled. Now, Toby said he's not going to update the game anymore, so we chose it at a time when everything is all kind of static. We're trying to do the most hype-free review of this game possible, since it's been now about 2 years and a half since this game has come out. Just to give a little quick facts for anyone out there who doesn't know Undertale by now, but you can definitely check out Toby Fox's Kickstarter, because that's where he got the start for this. He created in October 2015.
Oh, you're kind of cutting out a
Just
little
lost sound for about 5 seconds.
Okay, so it's not just me.
bit. It's just Ho, because
Yeah,
you can
I'm
see his Discord thing not highlighting.
But I don't know.
Absolutely.
I think everyone's cutting out though. I don't think anybody could hear anybody.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's the server.
Yeah.
Wait, I should have chosen Skype for this, but we'll
Yeah.
just do this just finish this out with this one. All right. So 2.5 years before the release of the game on October 2015, so somewhere around 2013, 2012, he releases a demo for Undertale, a conceptual game based off of a mod he made of Earthbound, and work he had done, something called Homestuck. So there's a lot of Earthbound influences in this game, and he wanted to create an RPG that kind of created the same feelings that he got when he played Earthbound. In fact, some of the art that he used was from even high school when he was originally just trying to make a mod of it. And reading from the Kickstarter here, right here, he says, Undertale is a role-playing game for Windows. Although Undertale is an original game, the demo has already received many favorable comparisons to the Mother series, which is Earthbound, specifically Mother 3. Others have compared it to Cave Story, Shin Megami Tensei, Toho, and Homestuck. So for anyone out there who doesn't know, Cave Story, obviously a indie darling RPG as well. Shin Megami Tensei, a Japanese RPG that deals with demons, specifically has a feature around communicating with them and trying to capture them, kind of Pokemon style, as well as, trying to avoid fights with them. Toho is a bullet hell genre in Japan. And for those who played it, you know why this bullet hell is relevant in this game. And Homestuck is his other work that he's done for kind of this indie RPG. The features that he wanted to highlight was that fighting is wholly unnecessary. Negotiate your way out of danger using the unique battle system. And use the format of a video game to tell the story. Traditional fourth wall breaking tropes such as saving, EXP, and LV are integrated part of the world, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of the groundwork. He sets out a game that's trying to tell a different story, but something that will give you a little bit more emotional impact of the RPG. So around the circle, I've already probably asked a number of you, but how many times has everyone beat the game? So just give a quick shout out.
Just once for me.
Mm-hmm.
I would say
0. I bounced off this game.
Okay.
I'd say about 2/3 of a completion.
Hello.
Oh,
Hey.
And we're back.
We're back.
I completed it once.
Okay.
Well, John Eric, what did you say about 2/3?
It was about 2/3 of a completion for me.
Okay, so you didn't go through it the second time. That was your first run?
Yeah, I haven't even finished it. Yeah.
Got it.
Eric, have you been muted this whole time?
He walked
So
away
those-
from this.
Maybe those who don't know, but Eric has this headset. It's amazing. It mutes for 30 minutes at a time, and then he'll be like, "Hey,
Okay. So you did hear me say I played it once?
No.
no, not at all."
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I only played it once. I think David, you may be the only one who's played through multiple times.
Mhm.
Sounds
Yeah,
like.
So for me, I played it through 4 times just to make sure I got most of the idea behind the game. All right, so I guess one thing I want to do is then just walk through what we know of the narrative from one walkthrough. So everyone, as a little meta-analysis here, you can't actually get every ending if you only play through it once. So you can only get what's considered called the neutral ending, or if you're really, really special, the no mercy or genocide route. So did anyone get the genocide route on their one playthrough?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Genocide means you killed every single thing you encountered.
Yes.
Yes.
I did not do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would.
Yeah,
not
so
Oh, okay.
And we're back.
oh my goodness.
have. Yeah. So what?
All right, F Discord. That's
So
the-
should we go? Should we go around and say the people who have finished it? Should we say how the first ending went
Yeah, I like to
for
hear that.
everybody?
Mhm.
Okay, so I'll start then. Upon completion of the game, my ending consisted of the monster world being ruled by Metaton.
Oh, that's good.
Everybody was basically, having to live a world completely in his vision. And, some people were pretty content with that, just with their superficial lifestyle. But, other people recognized that they were basically just slaves to Metaton's will. So I guess that's how it ended up for me, because Metaton was one of the only bosses I spared on the first playthrough. So he was the only one left to rule the monster world.
Nice.
But you
And did
still fought the big flower at the end or something?
Yeah, I did. Flowery? Yeah.
Flowey, did you spare or kill Flowey at the end?
I spared him a few times, but eventually he was just didn't want to be spared, so I killed him and he died.
Okay.
Yeah, I spared Flowey, but man, once he kind of showed his full form or whatever with the 6 souls, I kind of thought that there was no way to beat him. I kind of assumed that I was just like, okay, well, maybe I just have to keep loading over and over and over again and like advance the plot to a point where I get past him. But it turns out you could beat him. So, and then who was it? Let's see. It was what was the skeleton guy's name? What was his name?
Papyrus.
Papyrus. Yeah, he was the one who ended up ruling the whole Undertale or Underworld or whatever.
So you didn't kill Papyrus, but you killed almost everyone else. Is that right?
Yeah, I definitely killed Metaton. I was tired of his shenanigans. He deserved to die.
Okay. All right, Boyer, how about you?
I'm trying to remember. Papyrus, I think, was the one who ended up ruling. I think. Or maybe. Yeah, I think so. Because I killed most of the other people.
Okay. Brandon, how about you?
I think all in all, I put in maybe 2 hours into the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't come anywhere close to completing it. I got a taste of the flavor and for some reason I to the tongue-in-cheek sort of nostalgic of the whole thing. Not to say that the game is a joke, but I don't know.
I definitely want to get into what you're saying. Like, it's definitely a meta-aware game, and it can be a little bit off-putting. I'll give it that.
I think that's what I wasn't looking for that. I think there's probably a time where I could be receptive to it, but for some reason I just wasn't.
I'm guessing we can't hear anybody right now.
It's literally what I can contribute.
Whoa. I think everyone was talking at the same time because no one could hear each other.
No one could.
Oh, I was saying I kind of liked that aspect, the meta aspect of the game. I liked the sound for whatever reason, like the timing of the dialogue and the different types of sound, and like
The music.
blaring in certain sections and being very quiet in others. What kind of made it a slog for me was just the bullet hell moments, like I got it. It was all right. I thought it was all right, but there were certainly certain times where I'm like, man, if I wanted a bullet hell game, then I'd play one of those, and I'd spend a lot of time mastering it, and sometimes I just wanted to kind of cut through it a little bit.
Wait, what is bullet hell? Is that like when you would fight and you would have to kind of like keep your heart alive? That's what it
Dodge,
is?
when you're just dodging
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I
stuff constantly. Well,
I have a legit question though. Did you find that difficult? I'm not trying to be a troll here, but
No,
like I found it like absurdly easy, actually.
Well, I was like probably too sparing with my heals,
I think I found like 90% of it was absurdly easy, but then oddly, like every once in a while, something would just be like seem very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, I barely started doing a second playthrough today, and realizing that there's a pacifist pathway, and that's actually what they want you to do. All the battles are way easier, just trying to approach it that way. Like, actually trying to, fight through everything is kind of a slog, I think. And I think, like, I'm kind of upset. Well, I don't know. I really wanted to play through without using any guides or any spoilers the first time, right?
Right. And these are definitely facts I want to get to in later on. I want to finish up JE's playthrough of the game, and then we'll get into some of these deeper questions and deeper thoughts of it. So JE, how did you find the game ending for you?
Well, seeing as how I didn't beat it, didn't quite get to an ending.
How far did you get?
I don't know. I was looking at my playtime. I thought I played a lot longer last night. Apparently, I only played for an hour last night. So I played about 2 hours in total. I was going through it pretty quickly the second time. The first time, I think I was exploring more. It's like probably my second.
What zone did you end in?
It was zone. I don't even know. I don't
So
know.
the zones are the ruins. There's the snow area. Then there's a waterfall. Then there's a lava zone, and then there's like a metal zone.
Okay, I finished the snow area, so
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So why did you play through it twice? You said you went through it twice.
Me? No,
Oh, never mind
I
that.
said 2/3, but apparently it's more like half or 2/5.
All right, so I definitely want to start with Brandon's point, right? So that's the first question I have. How meta aware the game is really how much you're going to appreciate it, because there's a lot of in jokes, there's a lot of puns, there's a lot of like poking fun of itself as being an RPG and what the tropes of an RPG are. So Brandon, like I know you probably have a lot of experience with RPGs, and you just did it. It just didn't take to you at all. Like what can you imagine like one thing in particular that really turned you off?
Yeah, I think maybe just as a gamer, I came to RPGs a little later in life when 3D gaming, like for example, Zelda Ocarina of Time is like more my. I didn't play NES Zelda, so my RPGs I think were a little more immersive. I have an expectation for that to help the narrative. This one just didn't tickle my fascination. I didn't have like an emotional reaction to its presentation. I think I can
do you think
appreciate it.
graphically it was bad? Is that? But did the graphics definitely pull you away from it?
Yeah, and I think enjoy games that are like for example, I enjoy playing Stardew Valley. Has
Is Brandon
I
coming
say
out for
it's
y'all?
also-
Yeah, Brandon's cutting out.
Yeah, a little bit.
But
Sorry.
Your game might be
Yeah,
a
I
little
think-
too low.
I think has better graphics than Undertale, but still, just to compare like 2D pixely graphics, it's Undertale's like for some people. I think it's not universally going to be great in my opinion. So I was a little surprised that it was universally loved.
so I have actually another side question here. Who here has played or beaten Earthbound?
You made me
Not me.
get into that
Yeah,
when
I
we were
don't
in
think
elementary
yeah,
school.
I don't think I have.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring that up, because like even though I feel like I've played a pretty decent number of JRPGs and like 16-bit and 18-bit or 8-bit RPGs, I haven't played almost any of those games that you mentioned as like the major touchstones.
Okay, and I've played all of them, so
Yes.
I kind of have an idea of where he's coming from. But the game is very heavily inspired by Earthbound. I would say almost beat for beat. The game takes you into a situation where so Earthbound is a game where Super Nintendo RPG, another one of those cult classics, didn't really take off the ground, but you play as a kid as an RPG, and that was kind of like an amazing thing back then, because you had your Final Fantasies, you had your Dragon Quests, you had all these things where you were like grown up, badass warriors. But this one, you're actually just a kid who runs into a meteorite and you gain powers and you go on its quest to save the world. And that's kind of the same thing here, right? You somehow have the ability to get through this monster world without dying, interact it in your way, and look at through this world through a childlike perspective. So, yes.
What just happened?
You can watch the video that
A little Earthbound clip there.
Oh my god.
that's the Earthbound click right there.
From 1995, so it's literally been like 20 years since I played this game, probably.
Yeah, but this is the game right here. If you're watching on the watch together thing.
You can turn the volume down, by the way, if you.
Yeah,
I don't even have the volume playing right now.
And yeah, it's that kind of look. Okay, who agreed with Brandon's point of view? Was it like too weird of an RPG?
I wanted to say to Brandon's point of view, I think that there were things about the art and style that were intentionally kind of off-putting to me, like the character Papyrus, for example. I had a really hard time.
You don't like all caps text?
Yeah, and that like sound that went along with the text. I mean, I don't know. It was hard for me, that kind of stuff early in the game didn't really hook me as much. But I did, have the determination to push through it. So, but maybe without the game club motivation, I could see how it wasn't, maybe the most catching game.
I can say without a doubt I wouldn't have played it all the way through without it being Game Club.
But Brian, you said you like some of it, right? You like some of the cheeky aspects of it.
Yeah, no, I certainly liked it getting through to the end, but it just didn't satisfy my urge for fun, like playing Rocket League, for example.
All right.
I certainly prefer that.
I mean, I actually kind of liked Papyrus, which is maybe why I let him live. In
I
the
like
game.
Papyrus too.
I liked
him too.
Papyrus. Like I didn't find the like ruinsy area. I felt like that kind of the pacing of the game kind of died there. That felt like just big story exposition zone where you're like learning about the world.
Right.
But then I really liked the Metaton stuff, and that was a much more interesting meta style to me than even the Papyrus stuff.
Yeah.
Like the Papyrus stuff felt like really tongue-in-cheek, but not really hitting the like meta gaming notes that I wanted. But the Metaton stuff did.
Yeah, to me, like well, I don't know, David, am I following the direction, or can I go off? And
You can go off. Yeah.
so there were like a few big moments that really like rattled you as a gamer, and did something that was totally unexpected. I think at the very beginning, the flower just like Flowey just going insane.
That was awesome.
awesome. I thought killing your first guide was hilarious and awesome. All of a sudden, you've got this cell phone that you call, and she's dead. That was insane and fun. Like the save screens were always pretty hilarious. Like you're standing next to a bunch of trash. You're filled with determination. I really liked like the certain puzzles being like, what the hell? They throw 10 different rules at you, and 5 of them are even false, and you just like go into something knowing you're gonna die. I thought there were a lot of like moments in the game where they're just trolling you in some respects. That those were the most fun to me because they really took you out of it. You're like, okay, that the game is playing me versus me playing the game.
I mean, probably the best example of that is the like heavy breathing nerd dude who's just constantly updating his social media, and you're getting the updates constantly where it's like, OMG, can't talk to this amazing person who's doing this thing, and it's just like every 5 steps you take.
Right.
And there is something to be said about that I'll touch on later. It's actually a she, but it will.
It is a she. Yeah.
Alfie's.
Alfie's is a she.
It's hilarious.
But yeah, so each of the characters, and I do want to touch on a little bit of each of the characters because there's the reason why runs usually fail, and what they call pacifist runs, which is the preferred way to finish, is because the first battle you get, if we were to call it, there's a concept narrative called the 8 character archetypes, right? And when you begin, there's the first character you meet, the hero, which is you, whatever you named your character, right? And then there's or maybe you, I'll get to this also later on. What you name the fallen human is not necessarily who you are. But the first character you meet after that is the mentor, which is Toriel. This is the person who's guided you, like you're Obi-Wan Kenobi of the story, right? And you're not actually supposed to kill her. So I'm assuming everyone who played through her killed her.
I tried not to.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the game does not really make it clear about that you're not supposed to kill her. And in fact, this is a true test of like the ability to, when she says you're supposed to be merciful, it's like no. The first fight you do is actually against the dummy, right? And she says we're gonna practice against this dummy, and you have a choice. You can either just attack it or you can spare it. You can interact with it, but you need to interact with Toriel no less than 20 times to spare her, to make sure that you do not actually kill her.
Wow.
And that's why no one will ever get it. It's without a guide, without knowledge of what Toby Fox's story was from the Kickstarter, or playing the demo, you would never know that. And it's very difficult.
We're so trained that like, if it doesn't work, you talk to an NPC twice and they tell you the same thing, then you just keep going.
Do something else. Yeah.
Right.
And that's really the meta-aware portion that I want to touch on. Less so about how like tongue-in-cheek it is, but how he's able to take that perspective of how we're supposed to approach an RPG and not do what we're supposed to do.
Well, I think Yeah, I mean, I was kind of frustrated to find out that that is what it took to get through that with the pacifist approach, because yeah, just like repeatedly choosing the same thing, to that extent, when it's giving you repetitive responses, it's not something that we've been trained to do in video games. But I'm okay also with like the first playthrough, you're not really supposed to get the pacifist ending, and then then you realize, okay, now I want to go back through and play it. But there was nothing to indicate that you would be expected to play through it multiple times. So I would have liked to have known that, like going through it the first time, is it like, you'll probably want to play through it again.
Yeah.
In a different way.
And the question I ask about who spared Flowey at the end is that's the only way you're gonna know, because if Flowey's dead, Flowey won't pop up after the credits and say like, maybe you should play this game slightly differently. The only way you can do that is if you spare Flowey.
But
Yeah,
people...
and I did kill Flowey, and on my playthrough, he's not there anymore. Like, you don't see him at the beginning. So once you kill him, he's not in the game.
Doesn't that seem kind of backwards? Because like the people who... Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Sorry. The people who kill Flowey are the ones who need to know that you can be more like of a pacifist. But you... Yeah.
So wait, if you kill Flowey, are you allowed to go into it the second time?
You're always allowed.
You're always allowed to. Yeah.
You're always allowed to, because there's a concept of resetting. So the whole thing about saving and resetting, that's actually integral to the game, and is explained more in some of the other playthroughs, which we'll get to in a bit. I think the last thing I want to touch about meta-aware about this game is that the genocide route, which is very, very terrible. I finished it twice, and I really hated it. You have to literally grind out every possible enemy in the game. So you have to hit every random encounter possible in every zone before moving on to the next zone, or you'll fail the genocide route.
What the heck?
And yeah, so
Wow.
and you have to kill every boss, and you have to, just the game totally changes. Like the happy music, the sound effects that y'all talk about, it becomes this really creepy, every song is played at 1/5 speed. And
Wow.
it sounds like a real horror movie as you're going through and doing this. And Toby Fox even mentions this as part of why he made that decision. And to have this kind of aspect in the game is because he was interviewed for The Escapist, and he said he noted that there was something that was called like the addictive quality of numbers increasing. That's what gamers wanted to play. And this even came up when I talked with Brian, because Brian, I asked offhand at some point, how far are you in the game? And the response wasn't, I'm at this zone. The response was, I'm about level 7. Right, which now at the end of the game, that actually means something totally different than what you expect, right?
Right.
Another example of the meta-aware kind of like sneaking up on you.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think we made a ton of jokes about this, but the determination is it's a little bit overplayed in this game, I would say. But that's kind of one of the main memes that everyone remembers about this year. Everything about this is determination. Even one of the puns that Toby did in this determination, it's probably a bit of a stretch. But if you split out D and termination, when you die, you get terminated, right? But then the song that plays when you respawn is determination, as in you're coming back to life. Another example of how annoying this game can be about its little puns.
There were some like frustrating things, I think, in the user interface, like the fact that you would click on a item, get the info to it, and then it would take you out of the menu screen. But there's little things where you're like, ugh.
Yeah,
I'd love
the
this to be a little bit
it seemed like
easier.
the interface was unnecessarily difficult.
He was using RPG Maker, which isn't exactly like an engine that you'd want to do if you were doing this on your own. He made the game pretty much by himself for over 2.5 years, drawing every sprite, making every song. And I'm going to jump ahead right now. The music in this game, I don't know what y'all's thoughts are, but this is actually some of the best use of music I've heard in RPG in a very long time.
I thought the sound in
agree.
general was great. I thought the pacing of the dialogue, I thought like each character having different types of dialogue and sound, all of that seemed pretty spot on.
Mhm.
I agree. I thought the music was the highlight of the game.
Agreed. It was probably my favorite part of the game. It made it more I mean, I know Brandon said it wasn't very immersive, but if anything did make it immersive, it was the music and how it changed with the characters and what you were doing. So even now, I would still hear like the 8-bit music like in my head as I'm like walking around the house, sort of thing. Like it was.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to use the Watch Together here to play a couple of the tracks, and the reason why. So there's a concept, I believe it's called leitmotifs. Leitmotifs are musical constructs where they act as a surrogate for the character, right? Like an opera character, like the Carmen theme or anything like
Peter
that.
and the Wolf, sort of thing.
Peter and the Wolf is another good example, but this is the first music that you hear when you start the game. Right? Once Upon a Time is the song called, and this song right here is good because it acts as, and this is actually material used from this great guy named Jason Yu. He has a Patreon, he has a Medium site that goes into a bit of the analysis of it, but this is considered like the home theme. When you hear this song, you know that you're in a safe zone. And you hear it when you're in Toriel's house. You hear it when you're at the hotel. You also hear it when you're walking through the new home. So there's that track, and then there's probably, if you guys remember, there is a guitar, like an acoustic guitar piece that plays when you're in the second home.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah.
Y'all like that one? Because that one is actually mixed up of two songs. There's that one, and then there's this theme that's playing, which is affectionately known as his theme, which you'll know why if you had played it the second time through, but I'll play it. You hear this one actually if you do a side quest puzzle in the waterfall area. The reason why it's called his theme is because I'm now just going to spoil this game completely for you. So the pacifist run entails you figuring out why Flowey is Flowey. And Flowey is not actually as evil as he is. He's actually the son of Azrael. Of Toriel and Asgore, the lost killed son by the humans. And his essence was put into a flower that's how he was able to respawn.
Aha!
So the flower is actually not your enemy. Deep inside of it is a good person. He's just been corrupted because of the concept of saves and determination. When he respawned, he was determined to stay alive, and he found that he had gained the ability to manipulate timelines to essentially reload his save point from where he starts every time, like Groundhog Day. So for the first hundreds of thousands of time iterations, he would be as nice as possible. He went to his dad, he explained, how he's a flower and, he's stuck and he can't get back to his former form. And eventually he just got tired of it. And he decided, what would happen if I killed someone? What would happen if I killed everyone? And then he got addicted to it. And he tried to go back to the beginning, right, where Toriel is in the ruins. And he figured out he had no compassion left because of the fact that he was dead and trapped in a flower's body. So when he comes back up, he is actively wanting to end the world, and you have to fix that in the pacifist run. There's a lot about the narration of that too, more so even with the fallen human. So when you notice at the beginning of the game, when you actually name the character, it says name the fallen human. It doesn't say name your character. The reason why it says that is because the person you're playing is not the person you name. The person you name is actually you. Your representation, your avatar of how you're playing through the game. All of those, and Sans touches upon that level of execution, which is the level. Love is standing for level of execution. EXP standing for execution points. Those are all things that are feeding your inner need to get more and more higher numbers in the game and feel like you're advancing in the game. And I'm gonna play a video actually. Let me see if I can find it real quick here. Let's see. Down the prize. It plays during the last fight. Cutscene. Cutscene. Here we go. Okay, so this is gonna be a little bit loud. You might want to turn down your headphones a little bit if you're wearing them. So this will happen during a battle with Toriel, and you'll get to see this video actually. Not here. Here's that fantastic song. Oh no, is it not in this one? This is totally a lie. This is actually just a new home walkthrough.
Production value.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. In fact, I'm just gonna play that while I figure this one here.
David, do you have like a list of talking points that we're gonna hit on? Because
Yeah,
sometimes
what?
I don't know if I want to say stuff because I don't know if it's like a good time to say it.
No, you can talk about it. I'll cut in if we need to actually focus on something.
Okay.
You can talk right now if you want. All right, so mentioning Flower here. So this scene will happen at the end of the game if everyone's still alive.
Level 1. Nice.
You have to make it through with no love. And there's a lot of lore in this game. I'm not gonna bore you with all the details, but the reason why I feel this is a very strong narrative game is because this game end to end is pretty complete in terms of its thought process about every aspect of how he wanted to approach this. There's a lot of thought in everything in this story. So this is Toriel right here. This is Azrael, the son of Asgore and Toriel, which is really just their names mixed together. And he's able to regain his form because he's absorbed all the monster souls in the entire underworld.
Seems fair.
And that's your name. That's the name that you chosen, Rough. And then. So I'm going to pause it right here. If you look closely, this is an anagram, actually. It's actually serial murderer. So even the name itself is a pun. Because he's killed everyone over and over again in his timeline. And this is one of my favorite tracks in the entire game, and unfortunately, you do not get to hear it unless you actually go through the pacifist run. As battle is just insane.
Noted the you can buy the special edition that has all the music, right?
Yep. I actually just listened to it on Google Play.
Damn, this guy's so elite.
Yeah, he's got sick abilities. So it gets crazy, right? You have to basically save all of his. Okay, so you have to save all the souls that he's absorbed, and then you have to save one last soul that he's absorbed, which is actually the fallen human soul. It's your soul.
It's kind of scary.
Because it's not not the character you're playing soul, but your soul, the one that fell into human in the first place.
No. Kawaii desu.
Yes, if we had Twitch chat, you would break out your Bible thumps now. So that's the story. The Tori Azrael found the fallen human, you, whatever you named your character, and brought you into the family. And there's more along with that. There was actually a plot where the human, the only reason you actually fall into the underworld is because you're trying to kill yourself, essentially. So the human wanted to kill himself because he hated humanity and ended up in the monster world, and that's where the story begins. Okay, I've been talking a long time, and this is why I was hoping everyone played as much as possible, because otherwise I have to tell you everything. It really
Okay.
I'm sorry.
But
I'm sorry
see-
for going on and on.
All right. Well, on that note, like I feel like that's my biggest problem with this game is, I mean, it sounds beautiful when you're describing it. It's like, oh man, this is like a piece of art. But none of that, like, I think to the general gamer is really going to be that evident unless you're doing a ton of research or, you know, playing through it 4 or 5 times, which, you know, I mean, there's a place for games like this, obviously. I mean, because, you know, people like David obviously enjoyed it, but I don't know. If I'm looking on Steam for a game, even as a narrative game, like for Game Club, we're looking for narrative games. This is it, and I don't know, maybe along the same lines of Brandon. It's not what I was expecting, and I didn't. As I was playing through it, it never really drew me in because I was like, what's kind of going on here? I don't really. Yeah, I didn't really know. So
I kind of just want to watch YouTube videos about the game, right? Like,
yeah. I'd rather watch someone else play or something, or tell me about it.
just like, yeah, spoil the endings, like, or have the guy, like, show me the same themes and cool, like, retro pixel art screen and telling me a story. But the fact that I have to participate through all this kind of not really fun stuff was what really just I couldn't do. I couldn't abide with that.
Yeah, I think
Because of
I
deconstructing.
feel like the game could have had more explanation, and like I don't understand why you needed to try to spare Toriel 20 times to trigger the pacifist route. Like, is that,
To be fair,
you know, what would trigger?
I think he's expecting you to go through once the neutral route and then go through again.
exactly.
And
And
so-
after that, realize like, okay, it really is important to be perfectly pacifist, right? I do get that. Yeah, I understand that. So I mean, yeah, I think that's appropriate. Yeah, but
He lets you play through as much as you want. We all got a different variety of endings there. You guys described a Metaton, being the leader, Papyrus being the leader. Like he did account for the fact that you might want to play and kill whoever you wanted. So you didn't have to play pacifist. It was entirely up to you.
right.
I think to Brian's point, the way I kind of took it is that my impression is that he's expecting people to play through and get the neutral ending first in a way that kind of feels like almost like a BioShock or a like Braid style. Like at the end, you'll realize that the kind of assumptions you have about this how this genre works have caused you to just kind of like mindlessly play this game the way that you always play these games.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like this meta commentary on gaming.
Yeah.
And then at that point, you know that that's the case. And if you want to, then you can go back and do all that stuff, playing it in different ways, and it will let you kind of see what the other alternatives are. I just went and was like, oh, what are the other endings? Like, I didn't want to actually go through the motions of doing that stuff, but it still doesn't depreciate my ability to appreciate that they're in there.
Yeah.
And that he's like accounted for it. I think that's great because like BioShock, for example, like there's not really any other choices you can make. Like you're stuck. You're stuck with what happens in that game.
Well, I haven't played BioShock, so don't go too far.
What?
Okay, maybe that should have been your choice for narrative.
Yeah, I know.
I'd replay it.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Eric.
I enjoyed the overall experience, and yeah, I think that I did start playing through it again some more today, and I'll probably keep doing some more playthrough and see how far I can get on the pacifist route. But yeah, I also find it interesting to go on YouTube and read about the game as well. There was one just in my like hour-long playthrough where I was trying to do the pacifist, like one early interaction with Toriel when she gives you the phone and just tells you to like wait there. Did anyone actually just wait there?
Yeah, you can wait there. That's right. I did wait
Because
No.
yeah, so
I think I waited there.
I might
so
have.
you can wait up to an hour in that spot, and Toriel will keep calling you every 5 minutes with a different update. And apparently, there's this whole storyline where Toriel gets like attacked by dogs or something. Dogs steal her
It steals the
cell
cell phone.
phone. Yeah. So anyway, I only waited for like 10 minutes, but then I watched the YouTube video that showed the whole, dialogue if you wait the whole hour. And that will, depending on whether you go through that, it affects dialogue further on in the game. But, there's probably very few people who actually, go, sit there and wait an hour just to trigger that. particular pathway.
I want to accentuate that YouTube point here because so this game came out in 2015 when obviously streaming and YouTubing is starting to become a thing. That is one of the growth factors of why this game became so popular. Just if we do some historical anthropology on this game, he gave this to a bunch of streamers and YouTubers, influential ones, and he had them play through it, and everyone was like, "Oh, what's this game? It's interesting." And this is an example of a narrative game where the creator did not give a shit about. Did not care about the ability of whether the game would be spoiled or not. Well, this episode can't really go anywhere because it's freaking cutouts in Discord. But he did not care about the narrative being spoiled. In fact, he actively encouraged it, and he didn't mind if people watched spoil themselves in the YouTube of the genocide route, for example. Another thing I didn't talk about the genocide route. When you do this route, it will permanently break your game, like 100% destroy your game, because the save. I think Brian just went on mute. The save will permanently corrupt, and if you ever play again on a pacifist run, you will not get the ending you expect. You will get the ending where everyone dies because you sold your soul for the genocide route. To elucidate it explicitly, at the end, after you kill everything, after you finally conquer the whole world, a character will pop up, and it says, "It's me, your name." So for me, it's me, David. In the traditional sense, it would be Chara, Chara, like character. And it'd be, I'm the person who has been absorbing all your XP, all your LV, all your gold, everything, and I am now in control. And let's just restart this useless world. And then you can say whether to erase the entirety of the Undertale or not. And whatever choice you do, a flag will be set in the save file. And whenever you start back again and you try to do a pacifist run, your avatar will take over again. And at the very end, it will kill all the monsters. It's implied that it kills all the monsters after the ends of the credits. Because that was the choice you made.
That's interesting.
That's crazy.
And it's one of the only games I know that would actively do that. Destroy your game permanently, just to make a point about determination and what it means to have too much determination in trying to get every ending. Because to do the genocide route, it literally took me probably 50% longer than it should have. Because walking around trying to force random encounters takes forever, and it's not fun. It's really, really bad. And even Toby says it many times in the game. He has this comment. He says, "Don't you have anything better to do?" He says it a couple of times. A couple of different characters say it a couple of different times, and that's kind of the theme he's saying here. Like, you can enjoy a game, but do you really have to enjoy a game
Grinding out monster kills.
Right.
I liked that that your whole background and the race that you came from is all really crappy, you know? Like, you feel crappy about your entire race throughout the entire game. I felt like that was a little bit of a spin. I don't know too many games where, you know, you're just the bad person and you're not really sure what's going on, and the people who you came from are crap, and you don't really know what your motivation is, even because you don't even want to necessarily go back to them. So that was intriguing to me, to not really have a clear direction. And I guess one question at the end of it, do the monster and human worlds combine?
In the pacifist route, they do. So what happens is that sorry, what's his name? Azrael gives up all the souls, and he restores all the souls that. So what's happened is that Asgore has those 6 human souls at the end in the coffins. I don't know if you guys remember that, but Photoshop or Omega Fly, whatever his name is, you can call him either way, absorbs all of them. So he gives them all back, and since you have your soul, you're able to push through the barrier. He uses his last bit of strength to push through the barrier, and then he disappears forever. He asks, "Will he be forgiven?" And there's a really, really touching scene where that everyone knows if you play through that part, where you either hug or you don't hug him, and basically forgive him for his sins. And that's how it ends. You see at the end, like, there's a whole credit cutscene. It's very satisfying. You see them all in the human world. Papyrus is driving an automobile. Sans is like skateboarding faster than him. Metaton has his show. He partners up with Napstablook, the first mini boss you fight, and this other person. Toriel opens up her school for monsters and humans, orphanage, and then you can either stay with her You can either choose to do one of two things. You can stay with her and she'll watch over you in the orphanage, or you'll go off and do your own thing and act as an ambassador for the monsters to humans.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I think I've covered the main topics: the meta-aware, determination, playthrough. I want to give everyone here like about a minute to just sum up their thoughts of the game. I know we probably talked about it, but anything you really think we haven't touched upon, this is your time. So I'm going to go down from top to bottom here. Eric, you start us off.
First thoughts, I guess. I did just verify Papyrus talks in Papyrus font.
That's right.
Microsoft Word. So.
And
thought that
Sans
looked like
Sans talks
Sans?
Sans Comic Sans. Sans talks to Comic
oh,
Sans.
okay, Comic Sans.
All lowercase.
Yes. And
So that explains the ridiculous fonts on those early texts. Yeah.
mhm.
Very interesting game. A little bit different play style, which it wasn't as immediately rewarding as games are designed to be these days, but I guess that was part of the commentary. And it did make me think about, how games are structured and how we typically expect the storytelling to go. So good experience overall.
Brian?
So my favorite parts of the game were certainly how the game was playing you versus you playing the game, and not necessarily punishing you for following the typical path, but throwing you curveballs as much as possible and just surprising you. Everyone's going to talk about the sound, which I thought was great, but I think ultimately the fact that I don't play a lot of RPGs, and really it's been since like Final Fantasy 1 where I've played this style of an RPG. I don't think this game is ever going to appeal to me outside of this kind of cool discussion we're having.
Boyer?
It sounds like I maybe enjoyed this game more than some other people. I liked it pretty well. I thought it kind of lagged in the middle, but I liked the beginning kind of like meta training tutorial stage part where your like trainer person keeps saying, oh no, everything's too dangerous, but you end up just doing it anyway. I liked that part, and I liked the Metaton part a lot, and the Flowey boss, like the crazy like photoshopped together collage monster at the end was
God.
insane. It was insane.
I thought it was I thought it was unbeatable. I was like, what am I looking at? This has got to be impossible. How can I possibly continue looking at this without going insane and beat this thing?
Yeah, it was insane. Like, I thought that was fantastic and worth it just for that. Like, I also think it's funny that, or interesting that, I mean, I'm trying to think how long it took me to finish this game. Like, what, 6 hours maybe? Something like that?
One playthrough should be about 6 hours, and then you get faster as you go along.
Something like that. And to me, for like an RPG, that is like nothing. I mean, I remember playing Lost Odyssey on the Xbox 360, and it was 4 discs, which was like 100 hours, and that was just like a normal RPG. So like 6 hours seems totally doable for me for this type of game, like no problem. But maybe that just has more to say about the number of games we all have available and how limited time is and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was certainly playable, and I was happy to go through it. But I just don't know if I would ever gotten interested in it in the first place outside of us all having this kind of discussion.
Yeah.
Brandon?
All right. Well, I liked experiencing the game. I can see all the thought and depth that went into its creation, and I really appreciate that it exists. I think it's probably like one of these really refreshing games to have be made, like for just people that appreciate games. Like, I'm glad it's in my library as like a person who just likes, almost like as a bookshelf, right? You inherit a book for some weird reason, your friend lends it to you or something, maybe you haven't read it, but like maybe you never will. But it's cool up there, and like it's interesting, and you've heard people talking about it and watched some videos about it. But this game is like kind of what I feel like Buckethead or Captain Beefheart is, like in a musical sense. It's like there, and like I'm interested in the people who make that shit. They seem like interesting people, but I don't really want to listen to that for too long. And like
Hey, don't lump Buckethead in with Captain Beefheart.
This is a perfect analogy. I love this analogy.
I have Beefheart and I'm keep it on my hard drive. It's like I could purge it, right? Like I want to be able to like if I feel like it, I'm glad it's there. And same with Buckethead, right? But I really rarely want to hear it. It's there.
Brandon? Mic check. Uh-oh.
Brandon.
Hello?
Uh-oh. Hello?
Okay.
Closing remarks, Brandon.
You're really glad it's there. That was what the last thing I heard you say.
Oh, it's like the CD that you're glad you have, even though you may not listen to it much.
All right. And John Eric?
So when I first started playing the game, the whole like flower pops up. I'm like, oh, a nice little flower. It's gonna help me. And then he like goes all psycho, and I'm like, okay, this game is going to twist things a little bit. It's gonna try to. I have to think a little more outside the box. But I had no idea like how much outside of the box I had to think with this game. And I don't know, I'm a variety gamer. I'm a variety streamer, I guess, in a sense. You know, I'll grind Hearthstone and WoW for a month, and then I'll be playing more like single player games the next month. And I'm always trying to play PUBG and Rocket League with y'all. So it's hard for me, especially with my schedule sometimes with work. If I have to work late, when I come down, I don't know. I guess a game like this doesn't really draw me in because I don't really know what I'm getting out of it, which is, I guess, exactly what the game kind of like speaks to. It's that we're always looking for those numbers to increase. I want to know like what have I accomplished after I've sat down and played this game. So, it had its cute parts. I played through the Sands and Papyrus stuff, and I don't know. I guess compared to, because I just came off of playing the South Park games, which are like super like meta aware of themselves and stuff. I found that more entertaining. I don't know, because it has more like crude jokes than like the dad jokes that Papyrus would give you and stuff. But I don't know. I echo Brandon's thoughts. I think I'm glad that it exists as a piece of art more than a game. I think commentary on our generation, I guess, and where video games are now. So if I had to sum it up in 3 words, it would probably be WoW and right now.
Shout out to Beck.
Mm-hmm. That's the CD that you want in your library but don't want to listen to, right?
No, you don't.
No. You want to listen to it, but not in your library.
And for me, I've talked to you about it. I don't know if you can tell, but I love this game. I think it's one of the best narrative RPGs, the best games, narratives disguised as an RPG I've ever witnessed and had to deal with, or I had the pleasure to play through, rather. It was good end to end. The music was fantastic. I could do a whole separate 3 hours analyzing how the music actually enhances the narrative, and how each leitmotif plays in each of the songs. It's fantastic. I've been through a lot of the endings. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos. I've been fully invested in the lore. I will say that, and something we're not going to touch on here, is the reason why this game gets a lot of backlash is how aggressive the fans are in trying to push this game down your throats. It is
the Rick and Morty effect.
It is yes, it is pre Rick and Morty effect. It was Reddit. It was you know what, I'm just gonna touch a little bit here. When some of the YouTubers were playing through this, or on Twitch, finally get to it in 2016, everyone already knows what the tricks are, but the YouTubers or streamers don't. So they're just playing through, they're killing stuff, and this chat's like screaming their heads off. It's like, I'm gonna unsubscribe from you because you're killing all the people that I love. And they're like, dude, I really don't want to deal with that. Can you just chill out? Like, I don't want to play this game anymore.
Man.
So there's a lot of negative backlash for it. And I will admit, when I first played through this game, I didn't understand either. I couldn't make it out through the ruins because I thought it looked and sounded like it just looked terrible. The music was great, but the gameplay was awful. But the more I unleashed myself from the mindset of what a good RPG typically is, the more I realized there was something better inside. I highly encourage all of you, if you have the time, watch the YouTube videos, just see how the pacifist runs ends. Pick up near the ending, and there are some scenes, like there's a papyrus date scene, there's an undying date scene, there's the Metaton shows, which is hilarious. Metaton, shout out to your music. You have the best leitmotif out of all of them. Papyrus might be a close second. Anyone out there who's listening to this, play Undertale. Give it a chance. And if you can, try not to kill anybody. And if you're really messed up, try to kill everyone and see what it sounds like. Because you don't get the full story unless you do both endings.
Or you listen to this podcast.
Or listen to this podcast.
It's like,
And with that, we'll do what Toby Fox says. Don't we have anything better to do? We'll wrap up here. Thank you to my guests, Mr. J.E., catch him on Twitch, Brandon, Boyer, Brian, and Eric. Thank you for being part of my choice for Game Month of the Club. January's MHP Game of the Month for Game Club. And
Yes.
see you the next time.
We'll be back next month with Life is Strange, which is my pick, so I'm looking forward to playing through that. So get it if you don't have it. Play it. See how it goes.